If English is not your first language, what language should you create videos on your YouTube channel? Should it be English? Should it be your native language? Or can you mix? I get it, you're torn. I faced the same dilemma when I was about to launch my 2 YouTube channels. I also coach my YouTube students who asked me this very same question. So at the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing you my experience and what I told my coaching YouTube student. So choosing the correct language will significantly increase the chances of your channel blowing up. So you can create videos in English or your native language. That could be Chinese, Indonesian, Malaysian, Thai, German, anything else except for English. And option number 3, you can create one channel that has multiple languages in it. So what would you do? So here's my answer. You gotta pick the language that your target audience speak in. So ask yourself, who's your target persona? AKA, who are you creating videos for ultimately? You need to visualize this person. If your target audience speaks English, then do English. But if your target audience is your fellow countrymen where they speak the local language, then there's really no point for you to do in English. So I've compiled this table to help explain this. All right, so who should do English content? Is if your target audience is people worldwide who speaks English. For example, let's say you want to do a channel about investing in US stocks. So everybody in the world is interested to invest in US stocks. So it would make sense for you to create a channel in English. However, if your target audience is your fellow countrymen, so for example, investing in stocks for Indonesians specifically, then it would make more sense for you to create content in the local language. Okay, so now let's take a look at the pros and cons of picking these languages. So the pros of doing in English is that you have a very large potential audience size. It's pretty much the whole world. And also the amount of money that you can earn from ads on YouTube is higher because advertisers are willing to pay the most for people who have the US audience. That's just how it is. The cons of doing content in English is that it's a fiercely competitive market and there aren't many content gaps that you can fill in. So the pros of doing content in your native language is that it could be easier and faster for you to produce the content. There's also a lot more untapped market in the local language content scene compared to English. The cons of doing videos in your local language is that it's a smaller overall audience size. All right, so I'm going to give you an example. I have a YouTube coaching student who plans to launch a new YouTube channel about investing in stocks for Malaysians. He's Malaysian. So he has excellent English and he originally wanted to create the channel in English. So I asked him the golden question like, okay, who's your target audience? So this guy was a little all over the place, but after a few back and forth, we concluded that he wanted to teach Malaysians specifically how to invest in local and US stocks. So his target audience are Malaysians, his fellow countrymen. So by that definition alone, it makes sense for him to create a channel in the local language. But he's not 100% convinced. So I told him that despite Malaysia being a multi-language nation, a lot of people are bilingual, trilingual, the percentage of Malaysians that like this topic and want to consume it in English is very small. So if he does content in English, he's targeting a very small addressable market. Now, what's a total addressable market? So in my student's specific scenario, there's a bigger addressable market for him if he were to create content in his native language. So his target audience are Malaysians, and most Malaysians prefer the local language over English. So to prove this, we went over to his competitors on YouTube. So we saw 4 channels in the same niche, targeting the same people. They were doing Malaysian finance content in English, and all 4 of these accounts have around 20 to 30,000 subscribers, and it's been stagnant around that sub count for a couple of years. So this proves that the total addressable market for Malaysians who like that topic in English caps out at about 30,000 people. So we then look at 3 other YouTube channels who did finance content but in the local language, and all of them have easily 200,000 subs. So in my student's case, this was proof in the pudding. He needs to create content in the local language to have a higher chance of blowing up. If he were to do content in English as his original plan, no matter how good he is, no matter how awesome his videos are, he'd limit himself to a total addressable market of around 30,000 people. Now we're going to talk about gaps in the market for English versus native content. So YouTube started in the US around 2005. As such, most early adopters spoke in English. So whatever content that you plan to do in English, chances are a video about it already exists on YouTube. So if you want to stand out creating English content on YouTube, there's only two ways. So the first one is that your info needs to be so unique that nobody else has, which is very tough to do because most topics are already covered in English. There's little to none content gaps in the market for you to fill. Two, your content simply needs to be better than everybody else. This could mean better video quality, better scripting, better storytelling, and a more likable persona. And it sounds like a lot of work. So yes, doing content in English means you have a wider potential audience, but you're setting yourself up against a bigger challenge. So you're going head to head with the big boys, the top performers of the world. It's kind of like choosing to play a game in hard mode. So on the flip side, if you were to create content in your native language, there's not as many local content that exists yet. So there's a big content gap for you to fill, and you can build an audience relatively quickly because you're filling in a big gap. Two, you'll be surprised at how many of your local countrymen who are craving localized content that resonates with them. So growing on YouTube is kind of like playing a game. Pick your level of difficulty. Would you play in hard mode or would you play on an easier mode? So next, mixing languages. So you might ask me, but Helmi, people in my country are bilingual. They can speak both English and the native language. Can my channel have a mixture of both? So the short answer is no. Keep your channel to one language only. So let me tell you a personal story. So my first YouTube channel was about personal finance for local Malaysians, and it was originally in English. Then I quickly realized that not many people in my country like English content. So I experimented doing new videos in my native language, and those localized videos did phenomenally well compared to my English videos. But now there's a problem though. I've already built up an international audience who consume my English content. But then I release localized content, so the English people have no idea what I'm talking about, and my local audience don't really get the English content. So what happened was my audience got confused, and ultimately the algorithm was also confused. It didn't know who to show my content to. So no, you should not mix multiple languages in one channel. Pick one language only. So conclusion, you should be the one deciding what language to pick for your YouTube channel. First, pick the language that your audience speak in. You got to identify who's your target audience. Two, doing content in English is equal to playing a game in hard mode, while doing content in your native language is equivalent to playing a game in easier mode. Three, do not mix languages in one channel. It will confuse your audience and ultimately the algorithm. So I hope this video has given you some sort of guidance of which language to pick for your YouTube channel. And this decision is going to be super critical for your channel success. So once you figure out what language to create content for your YouTube channel, your next order of business is to come up with a solid content strategy. And if you want to know how to do that, watch this video right here. My name is Helmi, YouTube Funnels. Bye.